when we want to act out of love towards other people, towards our fellow humans, we must hold love for ourselves at the foundation. Hello everyone, happy Thursday and welcome to our daily ritual. I'm Reese Brown with the Cohere Collective, and we're about to do a little ritual, a little session to provide some scaffolding for you to create some coherence and build some purpose on top of for your day today. Our theme for today's session is philosophy that manifests as our values. This is the fourth pillar of coherence. But of course, if there's anything else that you are working on or would like to call into today's session, that is more than encouraged. Okay, to get us started, I am going to light some sage to cleanse this shared space. As I do so, I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze if that feels good. And begin to deepen your breath. As your breath deepens, allow it to bring you more and more into the present moment. Where are you in space right now? And how is that taking up of space going? Are there any areas in the body that feel a little tight or stiff? Maybe think about relaxing the skin of the face, releasing the jaw. And if any thoughts arise here, know that that's normal. And you can acknowledge them, say hello, and then let them pass. They can come to your door, but you don't need to invite them in for tea. Unless you want to. This is time for you. You call the shots here. Give yourself permission to have these next few moments to focus on you, your growth, your heart, whatever you are called to focus on. It's not only allowed, it's encouraged. Here in a minute, I am going to invite you to take a deep breath with me, and if that feels good to do so, I want you to try and make it the deepest breath of the day so far. Okay, whenever you're ready, take that deep breath in, and keep inhaling. See if you can take up more space, and exhale maybe with a sigh. And tune in to the collective, to all of the beautiful people that are joining us here across space and time, sharing this breath and sharing this ritual. Slowly allow your breathing to return to a more comfortable rhythm. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Okay, happy Thursday. I am going to start shuffling our cards for today, and as I do so, I invite you to tune back in to this theme of philosophy that manifests as our values, but of course, again, anything else that you may have intended at the beginning or want to bring in as an intention now, please do so. Okie dokie, artichoke. That's so creepy. I look like the girl from The Ring. Whoa. Pull those to the side because our card today is the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is sitting on her throne holding an ornate cup in hand, some water and what looks like maybe coins and sand at her feet. And on the back of this throne, there are two cherubim, and she has this beautiful ornate crown and green teal kind of robes. And the Queen of Cups is the mother, the nurturer, the lover, the master of self-compassion. And this is really making me think about something I've been thinking a lot about recently, which is this idea that if we truly do believe in making the world a better place, we do have to start from a place of self-love. And this sounds trite because it sounds like a reiteration of put your oxygen mask on first, of make sure you take time for yourself, of you should really start journaling, of take a bubble bath this Sunday, and those things are not bad. Like, let's be clear. Those are great. Those are good. That needs to be out there. But what I want to talk about is how you cannot exist in cognitive dissonance when it comes to your love. Let me explain what that means. If you truly want to love those around you in your life, hold compassion for other people, strangers that you meet on the street, your grocery store clerk, your barista at your local coffee joint, the person who cuts you off in traffic, right? If you want to hold compassion for anyone in your life, that root starts from seeing their humanity, right? Even the person who cuts you off in traffic. What do we do when we want to practice compassion for that? We say, okay, could have had 1,000 reasons for doing this. Maybe his wife is going into labor and he's rushing to the hospital. Maybe his kid is hurt in the back seat. Maybe, any number of reasons. And we begin to remember they are not a nameless, faceless thing making us upset. They are a whole individual, a whole person with a whole life, perspective, worldview, thoughts, feelings, pains, hopes, dreams, and loves all of their own. And it gets a little bit easier to not be so upset that they cut in front of us. Because we've cut people off before too. And we thought we had justified reasons for doing so, probably. Even if it was an accident, right? If you want to practice that kind of compassion, where you do hold love for your fellow man, your fellow person, and constantly working on trying to deprogram that natural default language. But if you want to work on truly holding compassion for your fellow person, for your fellow humans with this shared humanity, you cannot hold the cognitive dissonance of not seeing that humanity in yourself too. And that is what I mean with not being able to hold this paradox in our love. So many of us work on this kind of active compassion, right? Loving compassion for those around us, trying to see people's humanity. And not only does that make us feel better because now we're not getting angry in traffic every single day. That's kind of the common example that's used. But also we're better able to show up for people in our lives. We live in a more aware and present place when we are conscious of choosing our thoughts and therefore choosing the feelings that arise out of those thoughts, right? And when we're not doing that for ourselves, it's kind of undermining all of that work, because it's like saying, it's almost as though when you are not holding that same loving compassion for yourself, you are saying, okay, human beings really don't deserve this loving compassion. It's not an all human beings thing. No, it's I know it's the right thing to do, and it actually makes me feel better when I do it. So I'm going to do it and move forward. That's almost like faking your way into loving compassion, into loving kindness, right? It's like, it's not because it's a fellow human being. It's because of the fruits of this act, the things that it gives me that I think it's a good thing to do. But when you hold that towards yourself, when you turn that loving kindness and compassion back towards yourself, it is affirming this idea that all human beings are worthy of love, compassion, and grace, of faith and trust in their journey and their path, even as hard as it can be to see sometimes. And the flip side of this is true, right? When we hold that loving kindness for ourselves, it reminds us that we are no more or less deserving of anything than anyone else. Because at our core, we are all fallible, impermanent human beings. And that is the thing that is worthy of love. So that's a hard pill to swallow when it means you have to look at people who do atrocious things and try to understand. And you don't have to hold love for their actions. You don't have to hold love for their words, but you do have to hold love for their humanity. And that's where the faith comes in, right? Faith that the humanity will continue to be brought out. And I do believe the more you love someone for their humanity, the more that allows them to lean into that aspect of themselves, the more that it calls them to act out of that thing that's bringing them love. When we love someone out of their specific actions, it's transactional. And that's dangerous in a lot of ways. Because if you love someone just because they're nice to you, just because they make you feel good, that's treating them as a pawn for your own self-adulation, for your own good vibes, not as another human being. This is complicated. And I think amidst this conversation, it's important to keep in mind that this is never a justification or an excuse for hurt or harm. Love is not a free pass by any means. Love is fierce. And when we love something, that actually gives us the capacity to call it to be better because we care about it, right? When I decide to have hard conversations with people in my life about something that hurt my feelings or something that I think is important, that I know that this is going to ruffle feathers and it's going to be a hard conversation, I hate doing that. It makes me so nervous. My stomach is in knots. I don't want to, but I do it because I love that person, right? Good friends call their friends assholes when they're being assholes. And that's love. You can call someone an asshole out of love, right? Again, Queen of Cups, I want to bring it back to the flip side of this coin too. If we base our love for ourselves or others purely based on action, everything becomes transactional. If we want to live in a more loving society, we have to start with love. A guest on the Making Meaning podcast, I've been talking about this so much, but it's so powerful, is an activist and a very big believer in social justice. And we talked a lot about that. And in our conversation, she said, dehumanization anywhere is a threat to humanity everywhere. And the hard truth of that is even the people that are doing the dehumanizing, we still have to see their humanity. You cannot use the tools of the oppressors to bring down the system of oppression, right? Step into love and keep in mind that when we want to act out of love towards other people, towards our fellow humans, we must hold love for ourselves at the foundation. That has to be a part of this. Otherwise, it's all transactional. You can't just love yourself in a transactional way, because that makes all love transactional. That means love is conditional. Even if it is just, well, it's not conditional for other people, it's only conditional for me. That's still a condition on love, right? To move into our mantra today, inspired by the Queen of Cups, this theme of philosophy and values and anything else that you may have called in today. Our mantra is going to be, I lead with love. This keeps coming up for me in my work, that it's love is not just this sunshine rainbows thing. It is the energy of giving and receiving. And to remain open to that is to give others the capacity to hurt you. But it is also the thing that gives you the greatest capacity for experience, for joy. And when you start with love, it allows that to be reflected out tenfold. Okay. Here in a second, I'm going to invite you to take another deep breath with me. And on the exhale, we will repeat our mantra of, I lead with love. Okay. Whatever your breathing pattern allows, take that deep breath in. And exhale, repeating, I lead with love. "555" on the clock. For our practice today, I want you to write down 3 categories. 1, self. 1, someone it's easy for you to love. And 1, someone it's hard for you to love. And write their name down. And consider their humanity for all 3. And feel the difference in your body. Maybe, is there a blockage anywhere? Does any part of your body get tight when you think about that? And when you're meditating on this for yourself, sometimes it's helpful to write down a different name. One thing that I do, this feels so embarrassing to admit, which I don't know why, it's just because it's vulnerable. But when I was little, I read a book, and it's the only thing I've ever seen in media where there's a character named Lillian. And for those of you who don't know, my first name is Lillian. Reese is my middle name. And in this book, the main girl character, her name was Lillian. And when she first introduced herself, she was the coolest. I remember her being described, and it was like she had this really cool outfit on, and she was roller skating, and like her hair was crazy. It felt very much like the song that's popular on TikTok. That's the she ain't got no money, her clothes are kind of funny, her hair is kind of wild and free. That song, it's like that energy of like her hair is wild and free and her clothes are funny, but she's beautiful and love goes where she goes. That was very much like the energy that this character was described as. And then she introduced herself and she said, "Hey, I'm Lil, short for Lily, short for Lillian." So there's something here for me that I will be writing down to work through later. And something about that just really struck me as like, I must have been 12 or 13 when I read this. And I remember thinking, I want to be that wild and free. And I don't know if I've ever felt that wild and free. And I certainly work to create the space for me to be able to feel that way now. So all that to say, when I do inner child work or work kind of like this, where it is practicing loving compassion for the self or imagining an aspect of self that I want to process or integrate or express love for, I name it Lil. And it makes it a little bit easier for me to hold that. Yeah, it was a little bit of a tangent. I hope that that was helpful in considering how to not just practice this for people that it's hard to love externally, but when it's hard to practice love internally too. Thank you for being here, for witnessing my vulnerability, for being a part of the collective. I hope you enjoyed our daily ritual today. If you did, consider leaving a like, following, subscribing, and sharing with someone that you think would also enjoy this message, or share what resonated with it about you. This is also a great way to start conversations with people in your life. Bells on sharing it with people. This is love, right? Leading with love. It's all about sharing. Thank you again so very much for being here, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow. Our Daily Ritual is a podcast by the Cohere Collective that helps you build purpose and coherence into your daily routine. Wherever you're listening or watching, please consider subscribing or liking if you want more of this content so you don't miss any daily rituals, and share it with someone that you think would resonate. Leave us a 5-star rating and a review. All of these things are the very best way to stay informed about all of the goings on with Cohere, but also support all of the goings on with Cohere. A big thank you to Podington Bear for our Daily Rituals theme music, and as always, I hope you feel like you are living more coherently. Until next time, love. Love. Everybody say love. Psst. RuPaul.